That's your Gap hoodie, is that right? That's you, who you're shooting at?
Young Dolph.
Alright, now back it up again.
That's your Gap hoodie, right? He hit me? That's see who he's shooting at?
The whole world never say that when they egging on the beat. When everybody put on a song, everybody egging out, nobody don't be saying that. We feel like that right now.
Yeah, I done. All right, now run it back again. That's one of the dudes that meet Young Dolph, straight up admitting to the crime on tape. And he's not stopping there. He starts talking about Yo Gotti's part in the setup and even hints there were more names on some kind of list.
Interview, Justin Johnson, aka Straight Drop, got sentenced to life in prison for the murder of Young Dolph.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think they gave him another 50 years.
Street cats are heated because he's talking so freely, and now he's got to move like every corner might be troubled. This whole situation is wild, so let's break it down. The moment that shook the city and the beef that sparked everything. The streets of Memphis, Tennessee don't play when it comes to loyalty, and everybody knows that. But even in a city that's seen plenty of heavy moments, nothing hit the community like what went down that November day in 2021. We're talking about the cold-blooded assassination of one of the realest to come out of Memphis, Young Dolph.
Did you know Big Juke?
Yeah, Juke was my boy.
Oh, that was your friend?
Yeah, that was my boy.
Well, in the trial, in the Justin Johnson Straight Drop trial, they say that Juke had a 100K hit on Dolph.
This wasn't some small-time argument that went too far. This was the kind of situation that had the entire hood whispering, the whole city grieving, and the whole hip-hop world staring at their screens asking the same question. How did it reach this point? On November 17, 2021, the 36-year-old rapper, born Adolph Robert Thornton Jr., was taken out in broad daylight at Makita's homemade butter cookies, a spot he showed love to all the time. He'd pull up just to grab his favorite treats, never expecting anything like this.
How did you feel when Straight Drop got sentenced to the murder?
I don't feel no type of way. I don't put myself in that like that. I kill myself.
And this didn't go down in some dark corner where nobody could see. This was the middle of the day, out in the open, with people around and no hesitation from the attackers at all. Young Dolph wasn't just some artist trying to climb out of a tough neighborhood. He was a full-on Memphis icon. This was a self-made success story, a businessman who built his paper route movement from scratch without depending on anyone. His grind, his independence, his loyalty to his city. People respected that heavy.
Straight Drop only got $800 for that hit. Can you imagine killing somebody and your reward is a PlayStation and maybe a game or two?
You don't know if that's true or not.
The attackers didn't just take his life, they hit him with 22 rounds, 22 shots. That's not a simple attack. That's somebody sending a bold message. That's somebody trying to make a statement loud and clear. The whole thing ended up caught on surveillance cameras. Two masked individuals pulling up in a white Mercedes, hopping out and firing with zero hesitation, while Dolph was literally just trying to grab some cookies. Once they let off those shots, they took off like nothing happened, leaving the entire city frozen in disbelief. People were heartbroken, confused, and demanding to know who could carry out something so extreme and why it happened in the first place.
It's a messed up situation. It's a messed up situation. And the fact that both, people were getting killed on both sides. There was other shootings and murders that were happening, man.
Memphis law enforcement locked in fast. This wasn't something they were brushing aside. Within a few months, investigators identified and arrested 4 people connected to the situation. Justin Straight Drop Johnson and Cornelius Smith were named as the 2 individuals accused of carrying out the shooting itself. Hernandez Govan was labeled by federal authorities as the person who allegedly organized the entire plan from behind the scenes. And then there was Jamarcus Johnson, Justin's half-brother, accused of helping the others leave the scene safely and handle the payment afterward. Somebody clearly wanted Young Dolph gone.
But when it's egging on, it's all fun and games. When everybody promoting the beef against other rappers, they love it. That's the song you'll go watch, go listen to before you listen to his whole album.
The big question everybody kept asking was simple but dangerous. Who pushed these dudes to even try something like this? To understand how things reached the point where Dolph lost his life, you gotta go way back and look at one of the most heated rivalries Memphis ever witnessed. This wasn't some small argument. This was a long-running clash between Young Dolph and another major Memphis figure, Yo Gotti. This wasn't a story about online arguments or sneaky lines in songs. Nah, this situation ran deep.
It slanging iron, like people hurt for that shit, so that's why I hate that rap beef.
It was personal, complicated, and stretched over years. Crews got involved, labels got involved, there were conflicts, close calls, and tragedy that touched respected people from the city. This was the kind of feud that didn't just stay in music, this had real street-level pressure tied to it. People around both sides were always on edge, moving carefully because things could go left at any second. The tension was so thick that whenever their names popped up together, everyone could feel the energy shift.
I hate it, bro. I hate it. I ain't never seen nothing good come from it. Never.
Everything started around 2014 when Young Dolph was rising fast with his independent grind. Yo Gotti, real name Mario Mims, was already established and running his collective music group, CMG. According to what people were saying back then, Gotti tried to bring Dolph into his label. On paper, it looked like a solid business move. An OG in the game trying to team up with a young, hungry rapper on the come up.
You know how many people miss Dolph, man? And miss Big Juke, man? It fed a lot of people, bro. We just, we is on the outside looking in, we just think about that shit a couple days and whatever else on social media after that, but they families, they children, they brothers and they cousins, some people hurt for that.
But Dolph wasn't going for it at all. He had his own lane mapped out, building his own paper route movement with a clear vision, and he refused to let anybody control his direction. Dolph wanted to move like a real boss, own his work, keep his masters, and make his money on his terms. That's major power, and anybody who understands business has to respect that.
But some records sold that the black man ain't gonna.
But moves like that can rub certain people the wrong way, especially when pride gets involved. And from the way things played out, Yo Gotti did not take that rejection lightly. According to Dolph, Gotti went from showing heavy support to acting like a full-on rival the moment Dolph turned down the offer. In 2016, Dolph even posted about it, saying, "Bra went from being my #1 fan and wanting to sign me to being my biggest hater." And that quote alone showed how deep the switch-up felt to him. When someone you thought respected your grind suddenly flips on you, especially over business and ego, things can get risky fast. And in certain environments, those shifts can turn serious real quick. The tension didn't stay quiet either. Both artists started dropping subliminal shots in their music, and before long, the situation turned personal. In 2016, Young Dolph released King of Memphis, which was basically him stepping up and claiming a title many people associated with Gotti. That alone put the city on alert. But the moment that truly pushed things over the edge came in 2017, when Dolph dropped Play With Yo B, track aimed straight at Gotti's pride. Dolph claimed he had a connection with the mother of Gotti's child, and the music video even featured someone who looked like Gotti getting clowned on screen. The cover art showed missed calls from Yo Gotti baby moms, turning the disrespect up even higher. And when you're dealing with people who have real connections, strong reputations, and crews willing to move on their behalf, that level of disrespect can turn dangerous fast. Once things reach that point, the tension jumped from rap beef into the kind of conflict that spills into the streets. Memphis is a city with deep neighborhood pride and long-standing street history. And when artists start sending public shots, it doesn't just stay on streaming platforms. These moments hit the community, they hit crews, and they hit people's reputations. And when someone feels like their name is being challenged in a city where respect means everything, somebody might decide to respond in a way that isn't about music at all. Sadly, that's exactly what started happening. And not just once, but multiple times. The first major situation went down in February 2017 during the CIAA tournament weekend in Charlotte, North Carolina. On February 25th, Young Dolph's bullet-resistant SUV was reportedly struck with more than 100 shots in what investigators described as a planned attack. Whoever pulled up on him wanted to take him out badly, because firing that many rounds at a vehicle is extreme. The only reason Dolph walked away was because he had invested in making that truck fully fortified. That decision literally saved his life, but things didn't stop there. Just 7 months later, in September 2017, Young Dolph was shot multiple times outside the Loews Hollywood Hotel in Los Angeles. This time, the situation was extremely serious. He was rushed to the hospital in critical condition and had to fight to recover. Early reports from local outlets mention Yo Gotti's name only because he happened to be staying at the same hotel during that time. But LAPD quickly came out and clarified he was not considered a suspect. Authorities later detained one of Gotti's associates, Corey McClendon, on suspicion of attempted murder, but he ended up being released and the case didn't stick. It was finally time. The trial, the talking, and the massive claims that had the whole city buzzing. When Justin Straight Drop Johnson's trial officially opened in September 2024, almost 3 years after Young Dolph lost his life, everybody in Memphis who understood street politics was paying close attention. This wasn't some small case involving unknown names. People felt like this trial could shine light on individuals with serious influence in the Memphis music scene. Johnson was facing charges for first-degree murder, conspiracy, and possession of a firearm as a restricted individual. Charges that could keep him locked up for the rest of his life if the jury found him guilty. The prosecution, led by Shelby County Assistant District Attorney Paul Hagerman, came prepared with a stack of evidence. They presented surveillance showing 2 masked people stepping out of a white Mercedes and firing outside the cookie shop where Dolph was inside. They also had phone data placing Johnson and others in the same area around the time everything happened. On top of that, investigators brought ballistics information that they said linked the weapons involved to the suspects. But the most powerful piece of evidence, the part that truly shifted the courtroom energy, came from one of Johnson's own co-defendants, Cornelius Smith. Smith chose to take the stand and cooperate with federal authorities, hoping it might lead to a lighter outcome for himself. His decision to speak changed everything. The moment he agreed to testify, the entire courtroom felt the tension shift because people knew this wasn't just someone repeating rumors. This was a co-defendant providing details under oath. Cornelius Smith's testimony shook the whole courtroom because once he started talking, everything hit a different level. He didn't just admit to being involved in the shooting of Young Dolph. He began making serious allegations, and the entire place went silent as he spoke. Smith claimed the situation wasn't just 2 men acting on their own. He suggested the plan reached far beyond anything people originally imagined. According to Smith's sworn statements, this wasn't random violence and not a personal conflict between small-time individuals. Smith alleged that the order for the attack came from Anthony Big Jook Mims, who was publicly known as Yo Gotti's older brother and someone connected to the CMG business circle. Again, this was Smith's testimony, not proven fact, and the court reminded everyone these were his claims. Smith stated under oath that Big Jook supposedly offered a payment of $100,000 for someone to target Young Dolph, a huge claim that instantly grabbed national attention. He said the money was allegedly meant to be divided between everyone involved. According to him, he and Justin Johnson were each supposed to receive around $40,000 for carrying out the act, while Hernandez Govan, described in court as the person who supposedly organized the plan, would receive $20,000 for coordinating it. Smith also claimed that he and Johnson met with Big Jook in person prior to everything taking place. Again, strictly his version of events, not something the court confirmed as fact. These statements came directly from Smith while he was seeking a reduced sentence, so everybody watching knew the courtroom was entering extremely sensitive territory. Smith said in court that he and Johnson supposedly met with Big Jook multiple times in the weeks leading up to the incident to talk about how everything was supposed to unfold. And according to Smith's version of events after the attack happened, he claimed they even hopped on FaceTime with Big Jook to say the situation was completed. Again, these were Smith's statements under oath, not confirmed facts. But things got even more intense when Smith added another layer to his claims. He testified that someone connected to CMG allegedly paid $50,000 toward his legal fees after he was arrested in January 2022. Smith said he wasn't sure who exactly provided the money, but he insisted it came from someone tied to CMG. His suggestion was that the label, or at least someone associated with it, was trying to support the individuals involved. If Smith's claims were true, that would imply the situation wasn't just one person making a call. It would hint at wider involvement and possibly legal issues like interference or helping people after the fact. But once again, these are allegations not confirmed by the court, and this is where everything started getting complicated. Justin Johnson's defense attorney, Luke Evans, wasted no time challenging Smith's credibility. Evans came out swinging, saying Smith was exaggerating or possibly fabricating parts of his story just to secure a lighter sentence. He pointed to a letter Smith allegedly wrote to his family while locked up, where Smith supposedly admitted he would say anything to avoid spending the rest of his life behind bars. Evans argued this letter showed that Smith had every reason to twist the narrative in his favor. He pushed the idea that Smith wasn't trying to tell the truth. He was trying to save himself. If that letter was real, it would completely shake Smith's credibility and make people question whether anything he said on the stand could truly be trusted. It would raise the possibility that he was just telling prosecutors what they wanted to hear so he could protect himself. And Evans didn't stop there. He pointed out multiple problems in Smith's story, especially when it came to the money. Smith claimed he was promised $40,000 for being involved, but then admitted he only ever got $800 total. First $500, then another $300 later. That huge gap made the jury look at his testimony from every angle because it didn't match the numbers he originally talked about. Even with those issues, the jury still accepted the prosecution's overall case. And on September 26, 2024, Justin Johnson was found guilty on all charges: first-degree murder, conspiracy, and possession of a firearm as a restricted individual. The verdict came after they reviewed everything: the surveillance video, the phone records, the ballistics, and yes, Smith's testimony, even with the questions around it. Johnson ended up getting life in prison, which in Memphis means he has to serve at least 51 years before he can even be considered for release. He's around 30 years old right now, so if he manages to live through his entire minimum sentence, he'd be about 81 before he could even apply to come home. That basically means his time as a free person is done. But even though the conviction gave Young Dolph's family and fans a sense that justice was finally moving forward, it also opened up a whole new wave of questions. If Smith's testimony about Big Jook was accurate, and the jury clearly found parts of it strong enough to help convict Johnson, then the questions people started asking got way deeper. Folks wanted to know who else might have known something, who else might have been close to the situation, and the biggest question floating around the city was simple but heavy. Did Yo Gotti himself know anything, or was he completely unaware of what his brother was allegedly planning? There has been no public evidence tying Yo Gotti to ordering or approving anything. Every single allegation presented in court focused on Big Jook, not Gotti, but people couldn't ignore the connection. Big Jook was Gotti's actual brother, and he played a major role inside CMG operations. That relationship alone made the streets curious, even though curiosity is not proof. Then things took an even more intense turn. Big Jook was killed in a shooting in Memphis in January 2024, just months before Smith's accusations came out in court. The incident happened outside a Memphis restaurant during a gathering after a funeral, and up to this day, nobody has been arrested or charged in connection to his death. On the streets, some folks started whispering that it might have been retaliation connected to what happened to Young Dolph, possibly involving people associated with Paper Route Empire. But again, that's pure speculation, and there's zero evidence tying anyone from PRE to the situation. It's just rumors people repeat, not confirmed reality. What makes the timing so significant is that Big Jook passed away before he ever got the chance to address any of Smith's courtroom claims. He never got to defend himself against the allegation that he supposedly put up a $100,000 payment. He never got to share his side, challenge the accusations, or explain anything about the situation. And because of that, questions about who really knew what and how far the situation truly went remain unanswered. His death basically silenced someone who could have been a major witness, someone who might have helped explain the full picture of what really went down. And that left the spotlight on the next key figure tied to the allegations, Hernandez Govan, the man prosecutors claimed was the organizer who planned everything from behind the scenes. But Govan pleaded not guilty, stood firm the whole time, and in August 2025, he was officially found not guilty by a jury. People in the city had been talking for years about Govan having strong ties to both Yo Gotti and Big Jook, pointing to old social media photos and other public moments showing he was close with folks inside the CMG circle. But just like with Gotti, there has been no public evidence directly connecting Govan to Yo Gotti in relation to the situation with Dolph. The allegations in court were aimed at his supposed connection with Big Jook, not Gotti. According to reports, Govan even turned down a plea deal that prosecutors offered. Instead of taking it, he chose to hold his ground, maintain his innocence, and trust a jury to decide his fate. And he walked out clear to the charges. Then there's the fourth defendant, Jamarcus Johnson, Justin Johnson's half-brother. He took a plea deal back in June 2023 and admitted to accessory charges. He acknowledged helping the shooters get away afterward and helping coordinate payment. In his testimony, he brought up text messages where Smith was asking about Big Jook. And those messages lined up with parts of Smith's story about Big Jook's alleged involvement. But just like Smith, Jamarcus was cooperating with prosecutors while hoping for a lighter sentence, so his words have to be viewed with caution. When someone is trying to avoid a long stretch behind bars, they might be motivated to give prosecutors exactly what they're looking for. And it doesn't end there. Investigators also looked into whether anyone else connected to Yo Gotti might have played a role. One name that kept popping up in conversations was Black Youngsta, a CMG artist who had been linked to the 2017 Charlotte shooting incident connected to Dolph. In early 2022, right after Johnson and Smith were arrested, reports came out saying they had hired attorney Art Horn, a lawyer who had previously represented both Yo Gotti and Black Youngsta. That connection instantly made people in the city raise their eyebrows, wondering if CMG still had some kind of link to the situation. But Horn later stepped away from representing them and publicly stated he was not hired by CMG or anyone acting for CMG. Still, the fact that the accused had briefly connected with a lawyer tied to Gotti's circle added even more mystery to a case that was already packed with confusion. But the biggest question still hanging over everything, the one nobody can fully answer even after Johnson's conviction, is this. If Big Jook really did order the hit like Smith claimed under oath, was he acting solo or did someone else know what was going on? Was Big Jook allegedly handling things on his own without Yo Gotti knowing anything? Was Yo Gotti aware of what was being talked about? Did he play any role at all? Or was he completely in the dark? Right now, there is no public evidence tying Yo Gotti to planning or approving any crime. Every allegation presented in court focused on Big Jook alone. But because Big Jook passed away before he could ever be questioned, confronted, or given the chance to explain his side, the full story may never come to light. His death left huge gaps in the timeline, gaps that may stay empty forever. And that leads to one of the biggest lingering mysteries in the entire case. Smith testified that someone connected to CMG allegedly put up $50,000 for his legal fees after he was arrested. He said he didn't know exactly who sent the money, but insisted it came from someone tied to the label. If that claim were ever proven true, and remember, it's just Smith's testimony, it would suggest that more people might have been involved behind the scenes, possibly trying to help or protect those being charged. But since Smith was cooperating with prosecutors in hopes of a lighter sentence, his statements have to be viewed carefully. He had a clear motive to say things he believed would help his situation. If Smith's claim about that $50,000 legal payment was real, it would point to something way bigger than Big Jook acting alone. That type of money being used to help someone accused of targeting Young Dolph would hint at either deeper involvement in the situation, or at least a coordinated effort to protect the people facing charges and stop them from talking to federal investigators. That's a huge implication. But again, it's all based on Smith's testimony, not proven fact. The problem is that the details around this alleged payment are extremely unclear. There's no confirmed paperwork, no official receipts, no public proof. Just Smith saying it happened. And in Memphis, where street circles are tight and loyalty runs deep, it's not unusual for friends, associates, or even distant connections to help someone with legal fees, especially if they're worried the person might start cooperating with authorities. So the payment, if it happened, could have come from anywhere, not necessarily from CMG. Another piece that has everybody scratching their heads is the massive gap between the alleged $100,000 that Smith said Big Jook promised and the $800 Smith admitted he actually received. That's not a small difference. That's basically nothing compared to what he claimed he was supposed to get. Less than 1% of the amount he talked about in court. And if you think about it realistically, if someone was expecting 40 racks for doing something illegal and ended up getting $800 total, it would create serious anger and tension. A person would likely feel betrayed, cheated, and completely played. And someone feeling that way might decide they're done protecting anybody, especially if they believe they were shorted or used. But this is exactly why the whole story is so twisted. All these numbers, the supposed payout, the alleged legal money, come from people who were trying to get lighter sentences. So even though the claims sound dramatic, every detail has to be viewed carefully. Yet Smith still chose to work with authorities and testify against Johnson, all while saying he got completely underpaid. And that brings up a huge question that everybody has been talking about. Why would the people who allegedly planned this, the people who supposedly had access to big money, short the actual shooters that badly? If someone really had $100,000 available, plus another $50,000 to supposedly help with legal bills, why would the people doing the most dangerous part of the job walk away with only $800? It doesn't add up. One possible explanation is that the $100,000 number might have been exaggerated, maybe blown up for street credit, or maybe it wasn't real in the first place. Another possibility is that the payment was supposed to happen but never got delivered because Big Jook passed away 2 years after the incident before everything could play out. Or maybe paying the full amount would have created a paper trail, and somebody didn't want that kind of evidence floating around. These are all theories, not confirmed facts, but they show just how messy the situation is. Whatever the real reason is, the fact that Smith said he received only $800 total really challenges the picture of a well-organized, big-budget plot being run by a powerful music figure or an official operation. If this were truly, as Smith claimed, a carefully orchestrated plan with 100 bands available and possibly another 50 for legal help, you'd expect everything to be handled way more professionally, including the payment to the people involved. But instead, the payment situation sounds sloppy, unplanned, and extremely unbalanced. That level of chaos makes the whole story feel more amateur and disorganized, not like some polished high-level mission. And because of that, it raises even more questions about whether Big Jook's and CMG's alleged involvement was really as deep or as official as Smith made it sound in court. The January 2024 killing of Big Jook added another tragic and complicated twist to a situation that was already tangled from every angle. He was shot outside a Memphis restaurant during a repast, a gathering after a funeral, and reports said his mother was there and witnessed the whole thing, which makes it even more heartbreaking. Another person was hit during the shooting, and even though law enforcement offered a $4,000 reward for info, nobody has been arrested and the case is still unsolved. The fact that Big Jook was targeted just 2 years after Young Dolph's death, and during a period when rumors about his alleged involvement were already circulating in certain neighborhoods, led a lot of people to start speculating. Some folks in the streets believed it might have been retaliation connected to Young Dolph or people associated with Paper Route Empire. But that's only street talk, not supported by proof or official statements. What Big Jook's death did do, though, was remove someone who could have been one of the most important voices in understanding the full truth about what happened to Young Dolph. If Smith's claims were accurate and Big Jook really did organize anything, then he would have been the person who knew exactly who else, if anyone, might have had knowledge of the situation. He would have been the one who knew whether he acted alone, whether he talked to anyone else. And the biggest question of all, did he ever discuss any of this with his brother, Yo Gotti? But now, because he's gone, nobody can ask him those questions. He never got the chance to confirm, deny, clarify, or even defend himself against the allegations that Smith mentioned in court. Did Big Jook make his moves with the knowledge or blessing of anyone in CMG's leadership, or was he acting completely on his own? Was he a lone operator driven by loyalty to his circle, trying to stand up for his brother's organization, or trying to remove someone he viewed as a threat and a disrespectful rival? These are the questions everybody wants answered, but we'll never hear the truth from Big Jook himself because he's gone. And whatever he knew left with him. His death shut down what could have been the most important source of information, the piece that might have helped unravel the entire situation and finally reveal who, if anyone, should truly hold responsibility for what happened to Young Dolph. With him gone, the case will always have missing pieces. But the bigger conversation that Young Dolph's killing forces the world to confront goes way beyond just one rivalry. It exposes the dangerous crossroads where rap music, street culture, and real-world violence collide. Hip-hop and its fans have always had a complicated relationship with beef. On one side, competition is built into the DNA of the culture. It goes all the way back. Battling, lyrical sparring, fighting for the crown, dropping diss tracks to show dominance or respond to disrespect. Some of the greatest moments in hip-hop history came from artists pushing each other through rivalry. But then there's the other side, the part that gets scary fast, because not every artist is just an artist. Some come from environments where the street life is real, where crews are involved, and where reputations matter in ways that go far beyond music. When those kinds of people get wrapped up in beef, the consequences can be dangerous and sometimes even deadly. The line between entertainment and real-life violence gets dangerously blurry, and what starts out as music, ego, or marketing can turn into situations that take lives for real. Young Dolph left behind his kids, who now have to grow up without their father, and Big Jook left behind family members who actually saw the tragedy happen in front of them. The people who carried out or organized these acts are now spending, or will spend, the rest of their lives behind bars, with their own futures basically gone before they even reached full adulthood. And for what? For pride, for respect, for control in the Memphis music scene, for loyalty to a crew or a neighborhood. The price was huge, and whatever benefits anyone thought they were gaining were tiny compared to the damage left behind. The honest truth is this: we may never get the full picture about who was truly responsible for everything that led to Young Dolph's death. Too many key figures are gone, too many stories don't match, and too many pieces of the puzzle vanished before they could ever be explained. But what is clear, without question, is that Young Dolph's passing was a heartbreaking loss. It tore apart families, shook the city of Memphis, and showed how deadly things can get when rap tension crosses over into real-world danger. Young Dolph wasn't just a rapper. He was a talented artist, a smart businessman, someone who gave back to his community, and a person who built his entire career with independence and determination. He came from struggle and still found a way to rise up on his own path. His death took away his voice in hip-hop, took away a positive force in Memphis, and most importantly, took away a father from his children. And even though some justice happened in court for the people directly involved, the bigger questions: why was this really done? Who gave the orders? And whether anyone with power in the music scene had any part in it are still unanswered and may stay that way forever. And thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you like, subscribe, and share to help the channel grow. And hit one of the boxes on the screen to watch another wild and fascinating story. See you on the next one.